one beautiful snowflake.
You're going to introduce us?
Do you want me to?
Yes.
Okay. And welcome to the Review Tuesday. My name's Ruben.
And I'm Kay.
And today we are reviewing a new Netflix original horror-ish movie called Nightbooks. This is non-spoiler, but I will be talking about the ending at the end because I feel like I need to. So, non-spoiler review first. We'll leave time codes in the bottom.
Nightbooks follows Alex, a boy obsessed with scary stories who is imprisoned by an evil young witch in her contemporary New York City apartment.
This film is directed by the same director who directed Brightburn, so that may give you an idea of the type of cinematography or feel and tone that you're going to get from this movie. Also, though, it's a 12.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. It's a 12, and to be honest, when my kids were 12, I mean, it's 12 and above, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
in America, it's probably going to be 13, like R13.
Yeah, but if you have a sensitive 12-year-old, this might be a little bit much. I think myself as a 12-year-old, I would have found this particularly frightening. There are some creatures, there are some moments of real jeopardy that kind of, and just the tone, the creepy vibe. There's moments in this film where I thought, I think you need to push that age limit up a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is coming out sometime in September 15th. And I'm surprised Netflix didn't push this for the October Halloween month, because this would have been the perfect sort of Goosebumps film. In fact, this film is much scarier than Goosebumps. I mean, Goosebumps has the live action film that they had recently, has its scary moments. And so if you're thinking along that lines, yeah, that's right. There was also the owl, the house.
Yes, that one. The house with the clock in its walls.
That's the one. It has a similar vibe. So that one was directed by Eli Roth, a very famous director when it comes to horror. And he had moments in that film which I think he did well. I think this one, because of the creativity of some of the creatures, it really lends itself to horror. One of the things I mentioned when we were watching it is if you replace the colorful blood that you get with actual blood, this would have immediately jumped up to like 15 because of how they use blood. So there are quirky moments where they take out the horror and the tone suddenly shifts from being scary up here to this is a proper kids film. That's what I found.
Yeah, it was, I think maybe the director was trying to rein himself in, but there were moments where he was just like, nah, let's just do it.
I would say the scariest part of the film for me was the intro, though. I was so surprised at how dark the intro was. And when you find out what's actually happening, you're like, okay, cool.
It's not so bad.
Krysten Ritter was Jessica Jones in the Marvel series Jessica Jones, obviously. But it's so great to see her acting in these fun, really over-the-top characters. Yeah. She embraces that.
Yeah, she did it really well. I thoroughly enjoyed her portrayal of a witch more than I did the Witches movie.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Anne Hathaway, sorry, but I preferred this one.
Yeah, I thought she was a lot of fun. One of the things that stood out for me that doesn't normally stand out for me in films generally is the costumes. Her particular costumes are so crazy, vibrant, all over the place. Every time you see the witch character, she seems to have a different outfit on that is flamboyant and witchy-like, which really lends itself to her character. The use of magic in this is different, not quite what you're expecting, because it lends itself into the horror. There's a lot of corridor shots that are really creepy. There's a cat that's just excellent.
Yeah.
CG, and for the most part, it's CG, but it's very good CG.
Yeah, and because you're in this sort of realm of magic and creatures, you get away with the cat being a little bit off.
Yeah. One thing that took me back, and I think this is where it comes in the different age demographic. There's a lot of screaming from the kids when there's horror, and that they do things that I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
When you're shouting at characters to do something rather than stand still.
Don't just stand there watching. Run.
That's. It is definitely guessable, though. You guessed what it was
totally
from the beginning. Yeah. And I was like, really? It's not going to be that basic, is it? And then when it was, we're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But we still had a lot of fun with this. And just a word of warning, it is much scarier. For me, I enjoyed it, but there were moments I was like, that's pretty horrific, man. And that was me. Like, that's horror stuff. For a 12-year-old, that's nightmare fuel.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you have a 12-year-old who, like the boy in the film, is obsessed with horror and scary stories, then they're gonna love this, or maybe not.
Aspiring writers as well. You know, I am a
Yeah.
writer. I loved it for that part. There's some really unique creativity from one of our main protagonists, the boy who is a writer and has to read stories to the witch. And when you see those portrayed, how they do them, really creative, really
Yeah.
different, fun. Adds to it. I mean, it definitely changes up the tone and the pace of the film. It's no longer really that scary. It's more about story time.
Yeah,
But
which is great.
It was a really interesting way to do this. I could stand to do much more of this. So I'm going to give this a B plus.
Yeah, I was actually thinking B plus, like maybe just edging towards an A minus.
Yeah.
Depending on how you enjoy this kind of genre.
I think families are going to enjoy this, especially like the Halloween month. You know, this is halfway through, so it's getting close to that. So that's our review. I'm going to talk about the ending now. So if you don't want any spoilers, I was
Now's
going to
the
say
time
look
to
away,
watch
but
something else.
yeah, maybe click onto one of our other reviews.
Yes.
All right, so the ending. If you're wondering whether we're going to get a sequel, I would say yes, probably.
They have left it open for a sequel, definitely.
Yep. Netflix tend to do these things with films that tend to do quite well, that are quite quirky. So if you remember the Babysitter horror film, we had that and it was great. So this kid is at home, his babysitter is like a Satanist or something.
Yeah.
And has like this book of the damned. And 2 years later, we get almost out of nowhere. We heard about it just before and then it came out. And the sequel was great as well. So
Yeah.
I presume this feels like it could spawn a series or a number of films, because there's so much you could do with the grim tales, with what the witch is going to get up to now. I'm guessing vengeance is going to be key because those kids got away and messed up her power base. Or is she now able to claim all the power from the dead witch's body? There's lots of questions. There's lots of questions we need answered. What's going to happen with the kids? They look like they're going to stay friends.
Yeah.
But what happens with all the other kids? Are they going to go back and rescue them? Because they're still dolls. And we saw one
So many questions.
starting to move, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of questions, babe.
Yeah, but that's
That's
all
a
the
lot of
questions
questions.
they left unanswered.
I feel like, though, don't be misled. It is a standalone film. It can definitely stand alone. And
Yeah, absolutely.
if this is all we ever get, then it's great on its own. But like you said, Netflix have just left the door open and the window, maybe.
That's very open, because you don't really want to leave all those kids there in statues.
Yeah,
Although
kids
that's
have short
the
attention
unhappy
spans.
ending that the witch was talking about. She doesn't like her happy endings.
No.
So unhappy is
happy.
that they're going to be solidified but aware forever.
Are they, though? Are they aware? I think that's maybe
I don't know,
what
the
they're
movement of
hinting
the
at.
hand, it
Yeah.
seems like it's, yeah. Did you guess it was Hansel and Gretel? Because you did.
I
Right at the
did.
beginning. And I was like, nah, can't
I
be.
did the moment he walked into the room with the pie.
All right, yes.
I was like, oh, Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So we just wanted to talk about the end quickly, just about that little bit. That probably will get a sequel, but it can stand alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember,
Live long and Tuesday. With a wiggle.
You're not doing a jig.